So now finally, um, I have figured it all out, and it will eventually come together. As far as the simulation that we're in, and the past is really no different than the future, and the present, it's all the same stuff. It's only separated by words. Like I said, words create worlds. It's Sunday where people are going and differentiating between the past and the present by worshiping a person, place, or thing. Okay, that's reinforcement of a programming, a simulation. Um, yeah, why do I think that this environment is like not being cured? Has it always been this aggressive as far as me feeling all the different variants? No, because my husband hardly ever got sick since we've been hanging out. Okay, every so often around the fall season, he might get a little sniffly, and that's about it. But no, he hardly ever gets sick, and so the fact that he felt whatever variant that has been circulating within the last couple weeks confirms everything that I already know, that I'm, yes, more sensitive picking up the new variants and defending myself against the microbial attacks, but now his body is finally feeling it. And so the best thing that I do for him is just to give him the higher sodium diet and keep feeding all of the viruses that are coming to surface. And we replacing all the cells that are being eaten by the microphages and the macrophages. And that's the thing with the immune system, is that the lymphatic system holds all the negative energy. Now, I'm not saying negative energy is bad, but you have to have a balance of plus and minus. The plus is the food supply. The minus is the lymphatic system. Regardless of how you program the B cells and the T cells, because it's really the T cells that get programmed, and then the T cells then create and work with the B cells. The B cells are the memories. Those are what gives you the protection when you go to different environments and you've been exposed to whatever variant that's been in there, and you have some sort of protection that whatever variants that are there are not going to then cannibalize you. You have things that will keep to the limitations of your blueprint, so you're not being overwhelmed when you walk to different places. But what happens is that when people are not releasing the excess B cells, and they have surface marker antigen T cells like A and B, they're accumulating those B cells, and that turns into lymphoma. That is what cancer disease and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders are. Basically your lymphatic system overproducing, and your sluggish filtration system from low sodium diets keeping those little buggers in you. This is why people are a mess. This is why people are toxic. This is why they are biohazards. Well, they're biohazards because anyone that's immunocompromised will have a difficult time handling their environment. And so you may have really strong, aggressive mucus T cells that have so much programming in them that someone who is immunocompromised won't be able to handle all of those attacks all at once. That's why I don't understand why people starve themselves. Because I understand why. Because they don't want to feel pain. Pain is cell regeneration. But I'm telling you, I'm seeing kids nowadays, they are coming into this world at such aggressive deficits. They're emaciated, or they're so obese, and it's like, and so even though you feed them food, the food is either adding sustenance or adding substance to them exponentially, so they become bigger and bigger and bigger, faster and faster and faster, or the food isn't doing anything for them. It's going in and out like so quickly. And excuse me, but I've been dealing with, a few variants that are coming through in my world. And they are aggressive. These are T cells attacking me, but they're also edifying me because I'm feeding my body. I'm replacing the stuff that's being taken away by the microphages and the macrophages, and I'm replacing it with the food that's regenerating the cells in all of my bodies and strengthening my brain. I'm resting, I'm sleeping. And so, and this is what it's going to have to take in this environment. I I trip out and watch people try to live their normal lives out there. I mean, I understand you want your kids to have a normal life, but if you don't understand microbially what's happening, I don't know how this is going to, I don't know how parents can just not see it this from this point of view. So anyways, the microphages and the macrophages, the T cells are the natural killer cells, and they are the ones that do the apoptosis. They're the ones that are supposed to have a programmed cell death. But when they don't, they become the blood type A and B. And that's why blood type A and B has a lot more sensitivity issues to new variants out there, because they already have almost up to the limit of B cells circulating in their body. Okay? I mean, when you have surface marker A, antigen A, then you have B cell memories that are circulating. When you have surface marker antigen B, then you have A cell memories, which are B cell memories, antibody, and what is it? Antibodies for the A cells, for B cell, for surface marker antigen B or blood type B. So it's like, and then blood type O doesn't have the antibodies swimming around. We have we are able to release the excess, but since right now we don't hold the B cell, well, we hold B cell memories, but we don't hold excessive amounts. So anyways, the blood type O has a better time through this, but the obesity and other digestive issues is what's going to kick blood type O's butt. And that's why you have to really understand the salt water. And so I'm really just getting this nailed down, because when I talk about the introduction to this book that I'm doing, I'm going to say we're in a simulation. We're in a major simulation of time constructs and an infrastructure with words that create worlds that differentiate and create division. And then you think about this whole thing with the tumors, the teratoma something tumors that have the eyes and the nose, well, and the hair and the teeth. And so when you think about life, any kind of life, human life, it's human DNA, it's life. And so what would make a baby more desirable than a tumor? Because life is life, it's your life. Well, that's the social constructs that we live in, is that tumors get blasted, which is you are the human DNA, and the tumors are the body trying to reverse, or we're trying to refocus and build up because of all the antibiotics. And so then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to use chemotherapy and radiation, but I'm going to keep this baby who is at a deficit. But sometimes the baby doesn't even survive, because we have then also the Planned Parenthood side of it. So then you're like, okay, so we live in a major construct. And so this is where we're going to be redefining the constructs, and that life, all human life is precious. And if you want to control the amount of life producing, then you have to bring in salt water regardless. Salt water will help with the crazy tumors, bringing in food, salt water, and then also not make your hormones so aggressive to where then we have so many people repopulating their community with massive amounts of children at a deficit. And so salt water is the actual answer, plus the food supply. It'll help control cancer, and it will help control the reproduction. It's not like it's going to stop, human reproduction. But now when you do reproduce a baby, your baby is going to be a whole person, because you've dealt with your deficits. You know how to respond to all of your different mucus type stuff. Okay? When we have people taking so many, antibiotics and mucus drying agents and taking surgeries and doing all these different things, having mucus sucked out of them, they're atrophying the body's first and second lines of defense to when the body has no choice but to then go to the third lines of defense. And so when we add in salt water to a population, we'll have a healthier population. The reason why our population is not healthy, as far as at a deficit, because the amount of times they go to the freaking doctors and get all the different therapies. And so while everyone's starving in the medical system and the holistic system, parents are starving their kids left and right. Kids are not eating. No one's telling them to eat all the food in the food supply. Now you have these kids that don't have a chance. I see these kids that are so skinny and so small. How are they going to survive a massive viral microphage attack? And just because you've taken a therapy, from the CDC doesn't mean, that just then produces more microphages and macrophages. How is the body releasing them? Okay, so yeah, they poop and pee, okay, great. But if they already have your predispositions and they're holding on to stuff that they should be releasing, and they have a sluggish filtration process, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to grow up completely just not a whole person. And I know it seems weird that I say this, or why would you say this? But it's just me feeling these variants. Oh my God, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm just getting now everything confirmed with my environment, seeing how my husband reacts, understanding why people get infection, why they get the cancer, what lymphoma is, what all the different diseases are. Everything is tied to the B cell and T cell overaccumulation, or there are viruses that eat the T cells, that eat your protection, like the AIDS virus. And so when you have that circulating in the environment, then you already know what the hell's going on inside of you. That's when you have something eating your T cells, then you have cancer as well, because then that causes more growth. When you don't have the protection to keep the limitations of your body, like the T cells to keep everything the way it's supposed to, then you have exponential growth. Then you have to turn to chemotherapy and radiation and everything else, because you let your body get that bad. And if you're on all the different, cannabis and illicit drugs and all that, then you won't even know what's going on until your body falls apart to such an extent you can't ignore it. That's what people don't understand, but that's okay. I'm getting myself really dialed into speaking about this. But yeah, we live in a simulation. We live in such a simulation that even biotech is nature. Because biotech allowed for all this to get created. They understand the vegetation. Biotech understands the food supply. They understand the type of animals that live within the environment. They work with the EPA. They work with all the different agencies. And so your whole world is based upon biotech. They are your God. Biotech is your God. They slice and dice different viral variants with the different proteins, and they go and seed places. They go and graft things together, make hybrids, make the different fruits, different grapes, different animals, and also work with the climate engineering, the terraforming. Okay? The Academy of Sciences and all the government agencies and academia all work together. And you had to know this. There's no difference between natural and synthetic. It's either all natural or all synthetic, but there is no difference. There's no difference between genetically modified and organic. It's either all organic or it's all genetically modified. You can't have there is no differentiation between the two. But the medical holistic system, especially in the marketing world, have compartmentalized the natural versus synthetic. They have compartmentalized evolution versus revolution. They have compartmentalized and differentiated all these things to create these for and against worlds. So then you think, oh, when there's food coloring and it's FDA approved, and you're like, oh wow, well it leads to this, and look, when your kid, just had a red ice cream, now they're all acting crazy. Now you want to say that red food coloring causes ADHD or something? I mean, you see what parents are doing out there. They're slowly taking food away from their child. Slowly but surely. First they demonize the food coloring, then they demonize the sugar, then they start demonizing the salt. And then that's how they keep taking food away from their children. That's how the system gets the mothers to starve their own children. That's how the system gets the husbands and wives starving their husband and wives who are dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness. They go and give them nutritionists who will say, oh, well, you can't have this because it does a histamine reaction. You can't have this food. You can't have this food. You can't have this food. It is a state-sanctioned starvation system that's going on. It's insane what's going on. It's such an elaborate campaign that I'm just I'm so impressed by the strategy of it all. I'm seriously impressed by it. You don't have to go back to World War II in a first world country. It's all psychological. And it's getting the parents to weaponize themselves against their own children. I mean, look, with the parents buying their kids everything with no boundaries. That's why I wrote this thing about marriage last night. Because people think marriage is like the easiest thing in the world. Oh yeah, go have a big old wedding and everyone's coming, together and everyone's wearing their costumes and it's an elaborate affair and it's all this stuff. And then when it's all said and done, when the rubber meets the road, parents and kids have not set themselves up correctly to deal with what it takes to fucking survive in a marriage, in this world. And so the weaponization of parents against the children, it's huge. The weaponization of friends against family and friends against friends, it's fucking huge. The weaponization against the employer and the employee, it's crazy huge. You don't need to have an enemy out there when the enemy is, you're sleeping with the enemy when you think about it. You're hanging out with the enemy when you think about it. You're in associations with the enemy when you think about it. That's how freaking strategic all of this is. That's why they're able to do this, because they know your lifestyle, they know your belief system, they know your politics. Who is they, Jillian? It's the system trying to keep the balance. The system that's giving you guys the choice to live or survive. And I'm telling you, when I'm watching the world out there, and when I go out there in public and I feel this stuff, and now my husband finally feels this stuff, and thank God he's surviving. When you see the redness in people's faces and they have infection in their cheeks, there's a lot of stuff going on. When there's high heat, when somebody, a man or a woman, gives off so much heat, there's a lot of growth and a lot of life that will tax that person and cannibalize them at some point. It's just a matter of time. And I was watching my husband's face during his high infection time. He had the rosacea, he had the flush right here. I mean, his head was more red than not. And I'm just like, wow. And his eyes were red because the mucus couldn't come really out of his, he coughed stuff out, but it couldn't come out of his ears because he would get ear infection. So the mucus is coming out of his eyes. That's the thing, you guys. Your body has to release this stuff. It'll release it through the first and second lines. But then if the first and second lines are having a little issue, then it'll come out through all the different orifices. I had stuff come out of my lymph nodes, stuff come out of my eyes, nothing coming out of my ears. I had ear infections when I was a kid, but I let them finally go through its stuff the last couple of years. But I haven't had anything in my ears. I felt a little bit of pain in my ears, but nothing crazy. But infection has to come out. And people are holding that infection in and it's destroying them. Children are holding that infection in and it's eating them alive. That's why they have autism. That's why they have cancer, disease, and chronic illness. That's why they have neurological issues. That's why they have juvenile juvenile diseases because the amount of T cells and B cells, and then the parents are starving them. That's what's fucking crazy. That's why I posted that picture of the rainbow cake. And I took that from a mom who's like, oh my God. And all of her little mommy and me friends were like, oh my God, they're trying to kill us. Oh, my heart, and you're just like, wow. The holistic world has the doctors in the holistic world. You think the doctors are in your corner? Even in the holistic, organic, energy healing world, you think the doctors are really working for you? No, they are withholding food from not only you, but from your children through psychological operations, making you afraid of things that are FDA approved because you're making correlation equals causation. Oh, my kid ate this, had some sugar, has energy, but there was food dye in the sugar. And so then what does the mother do? Oh, it's the food dye's fault. Oh, it's the salt's fault. Oh, it's the cake's fault. Oh, it's it's the riboflavin's fault. Oh, it's the phosphate's fault. And that is the psychological operations of destroying families from the inside. When you get them afraid of food, air, and water, and then they start taking away food, they start being afraid of the air, and they are drinking dead water. That was this distilled water world. Oh, and the whole Kangen water. Let's have high ionic water so we can just destroy our insides and make it antibiotic. That's another weaponization against the trendy mommy and me groups. They all want to be healthy and look like emaciated fucking skeletons. Oh, you see it out there. Oh, I see it out there. It's insane. It's insane to watch it. And it makes me crazy, but knowing what I know, but I understand what's going on. But I got to point it out. I'm kind of glad that I'm in my little world of just like, okay, I'm in my little world that's very homogenized as far as the Jeju's world. I'm not reaching out to too many people. People find me through the Dr. Phil bullshit, or they find me through different groups that are talking smack about me, or someone mentions me for something, okay? But I'm not actively going out there and trying to change people's minds. Occasionally I'll say stuff on public pages without being too aggressive in self-promotion. Just dropping a few seeds of like, okay, here, this is what cancer is. It's a bunch of B cells and T cells trying to refocus and grow instead of being destroyed by those little buggers. And so the body, needs to compensate for all the attacks. But I'm telling you, the starvation in children from the parents, from the moms and the dads, that's how the system is destroying us from within. Only because we are in a recalibration mode. And we can't repeat all the same things from the past because we already know what they are. Third worlds can do it because they don't have very long memories, or dying and reproducing that quick with not much technology, not too much infrastructure, so it's easy to get through the third world countries. But first world countries have longer memories, so then it's a really, it's a very intricate psychological campaign that must happen through generations. And then you get people younger to get pregnant younger, the easier it is to go in and manipulate not only the parent, because the parent's still a child, but also the children. That's why you see kids getting, or you see why people are getting pregnant at like 15, 16, 17. Get their hormones raging really quickly, get them to spit out a bunch of kids, and then go and edify the kids and the parents under the same type of scope of education. And then stop them from questioning too much and make fun of them if they question. It's an elaborate campaign, and since I was raised in a psychological household, law, biotech, perfect storm, I see it. But can I really open up people's eyes? Really? They're so heavily programmed and so in fear and so emaciated and so starving, they don't have what it takes. But I'll get a few of you who are strong enough to understand this. A few. Not many, but a few. All right, bye.